Hello, everybody, and welcome to our commentary of Walt Disney Animation Studios' Meet the Robinsons from back in 2007. You see, everybody, here's a little brief recap. Back 2 years before this movie, Chicken Little came out.
Wow.
And that was the... I would argue that's even worse than, like, a lot of people like to quote movies like The Black Cauldron as like the lowest point.
The lowest point.
No,
I would argue.
that was just an average
I thought people
movie.
quoted Home on the
Black
Range.
Cauldron, Black Cauldron at worst is just boring. This
And annoying with Gurgi, but at least it has passion and everything. Chicken Little is just mean-spirited, but it's a topic for another day.
Yes.
After that,
So that movie was so terrible that it almost single-handedly. Well, obviously, it was just the pinnacle of a fall, because even before that we had Home on the Range, which was also god awful. But
Home on the Range was the precursor where everyone thought, okay, this was the lowest Disney can go, and then Chicken Little came out.
anyway,
But,
yeah. So
again, another story.
fortunately, Michael Eisner stepped down as CEO, and when Bob Iger, the new president, who's still, as the time of this recording, the president of Disney, took over, and he intentionally went, okay, I have to restructure the animation studio. So basically what he did is he went to the guys at Pixar for advice for a possibility. So not only did not only did Disney buy Pixar, but John Lasseter and Ed Catmull also became in charge of the Disney Animation Studios. So as a result, as an idea to spread the same culture that Pixar had at the time into the Disney
Yep, that's right, folks. But believe it or not, even when Pixar made Toy Story and Toy Story 2 for Disney, Disney did not own them yet. They were owned by Apple.
They were only bought in 2006. But anyway, okay, basically everybody, this, you might remember, you know how nowadays Disney Animation Studios is basically in a role, at the time of this recording at least.
Yeah.
They've been releasing great movie after great movie after great movie.
Well, let's see. After the Disney Renaissance, let's just say they had a bit of a slump to the point where Pixar was regarded as the better Disney.
But recently,
Irony
they've been
become
releasing a lot of great movies in a row. Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Winnie the Pooh 2011, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia, and recently Moana.
Heck, the live-action movies are actually pretty good too, but we're here to talk about their animation.
Yeah, basically. So, however, buddy, I have a different opinion of a lot of people, because a lot of people usually quote Princess and the Frog as the beginning of this new third Disney Golden Age. However, I usually like to consider it 2 years back, let's just say, because back in 2007, I watched this movie in theaters. So, and let's just say I have a soft spot for it, and I'll make it clear as the movie goes on. But I've already dragged this on for too long, so I'll explain the rest as we go along. So,
yes, this movie is Meet the Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons,
Yes.
back in 2007. I'll talk about the credits later. But for now, let's just start. Okay, so start, and you should be seeing a black screen right before the CGI Disney logo, the one that they're still currently using at the time of this recording. So go with the black screen before that, and you should be in sync with us. So 3, 2, 1, click. But yeah, like I was saying, this movie was directed by Stephen J. Anderson, with the lead writer being Don Hall. If you don't know who they are, Stephen J. Anderson and Don Hall later on went on to also write and direct Winnie the Pooh 2011, and Don Hall also went on to co-write and direct Big Hero 6. So as you know, these two have made brilliant stuff after this. So this was their first big project for the studio, basically.
Now, for those of you who haven't heard about this movie, I do not blame you, because this movie got terrible
And there you go. See,
marketing.
this was also the first movie to bring to have the new Steamboat Willie logo that they're still using today.
Always charming.
And
But
also,
yeah,
the amount
Trova,
of-
I saw a single trailer for this movie, and I was completely turned down because, as we know, trailers were still made with terrible editing and sometimes reworked lines. So I was completely off by this movie.
This movie is based on a book, but I'm not familiar with the book at all, so I will not be mentioning it.
Interesting
thing-
choice. No big fanfare. We just starts
So
like
there you
this.
go. Here's the first big
Theo,
thing.
we start off
in comp-
literally with a mother abandoning her child.
Teo. I regard this as basically the first, okay, after Chicken Little, we have to immediately start with a shot that assures the audience that this is not going to be a Chicken Little.
I mean, Chicken Little literally starts with fourth wall breaking, but goes on for way too long.
So yeah,
Chicken Little is just a meme dump, and that's all there is to it.
So yeah, this movie starts with a mom abandoning this child at the door of an orphanage because most likely she's poor and she can't take care of the baby. So,
Boy, this new take on Pan sounds weird.
I know, right? Hey, Shiroi, you call Chicken Little a meme dump, just you wait until it's revealed that it's the penultimate world in Kingdom Hearts 3.
No, please, thank you.
No,
I mean,
I'm
would
good.
follow the trend of summons eventually getting their own Kingdom Hearts world.
I think the best way I can describe this movie is, in a lot of ways, this feels like what would happen if Akira Hino wrote a Disney movie. Because there's a lot of elements that would feel right at home in a Layton game, but you'll see.
Oh, yes, of course. Now,
I don't remember
I
any
would
villages
say that
burning
the
down.
CGI is not, for a movie made in that age, the CGI is not that bad.
I think it looks fine, honestly.
It's
I like
way
the art
better than
direction, for
Chicken Little,
example.
at least.
I'll say this
I
right
like the
now.
character
It's an
designs, for
improvement.
example. By the way, this is Goob, and the little boy is the best friend of our main character, Lewis. Goob is really funny, and you'll see it because a lot of his humor is very subdued, so you'll have to pay attention.
He's kind of like the Droopy to our main characters as well. Straight man, let's call it.
Sure.
And he's clearly lacking in sleep.
Yes, for a good reason, and which will be explained.
Gee,
I've seen this movie many times.
gee, Shori, which one? The one with eye beds or the one with what is clearly a bed head and was not the in-style hairdo at the time? Seriously, Lucas, what the heck's up with your hair?
Congratulations, you made a hat toaster.
Basically, he's trying to create. He's a scientist, or rather, a wannabe scientist, rather, and he's always trying to concoct inventions. Oh, here we go. I'll do this one. Lewis.
Oh, hey, he's got my last name. Lewis. Of course.
It's empty. Ah, God damn it.
Okay, that was clear Looney Tunes.
So yeah, as you can probably guess, Lewis. As you
agrees.
can probably guess, Lewis always stays up all night working on his inventions, and because of that, Goop can get any sleep.
And yet, somehow, Lewis is the one who is not sleep deprived.
Didn't anyone ever think to get this poor boy earplugs?
Maybe the orphanage can afford it. I don't know. So there you go. He even has a notebook with all these cool drawings. So yeah, here's another thing about Lewis. Lewis is 12 years old, which means he really needs to get adopted quickly because when you hit age 13, it becomes a lot harder to get adopted.
Needless to say.
This is set in the 90s, I guess.
I don't know. They never specify any.
Well, I can recall this story. Well, this part of the story takes place in present day, whatever.
Because I know that in recent years, adoption laws have become a bit less obnoxious. So,
Lewis?
I love how he treats the, meeting potential new parents as like a job interview.
Yeah.
You know, headcanon, Lewis is going to become the president of BNL from Wall-E. Since they do everything with machines, eventually to humanity's detriment.
Sorry, Jova, but the Pixar universe does not, as far as I'm aware, it's not the same as the
It's a
Disney
Nickelodeon
universe.
movie now.
I don't know, Pedro. The toys from Toy
Oh,
Story.
there you
Oh, God.
He's
Oh, he's
allergic to.
allergic.
He's allergic to peanuts.
Oh, dear.
Is this Jimmy Neutron now?
Jeez.
What the fuck is going on?
He could have died. Anyway, I don't know, guys. I mean, the toys from Toy Story
we will let you
show
know.
up in Monsters Incorporated as well as
I'll have my people call your people.
You know, Miss Caretaker, wouldn't it be a good idea to look for parents who are actually interested in a kid of his caliber? You know, inventions. I mean, surely it's not that hard to put out an ad for that stuff.
Or, considering he's that he has this incredible gift, might as well inform the military of it as well.
Well, that's the thing. Well, actually, Teo.
Superhero story.
Yeah,
Well,
we want to
Teo,
treat that as our absolute last resort.
Well, Teo, actually, as of this point in the story, he has yet to actually prove himself as a scientist because all of his inventions so far have turned out, well...
Whoa! Holy cow!
My concept are not that...
As
There you go.
he
He has literally been counting all the number of times that he's been rejected.
Jeez.
Also, usually in these situations, the FBI finds you.
Yeah,
so...
true. Like Fan 4 Stick.
Over 100 times has he been rejected. This poor kid.
Hmm.
No, Lewis, that's not exactly what I was saying.
That's not exactly how it works.
Lewis, do you
About
even know
that,
she's alive?
Yeah, we don't even know if she's alive.
Jinko Bilboa.
Yeah, I saw her once.
But it's repressed memory. How do you even trigger that? Oh,
You'll
there
see.
you go.
You'll-
Science.
That close up. Also, pop song.
So, yeah, of course,
It's
the
a
story
montage.
here...
Well, yeah.
So, of course, the story in part is basically Lewis wants to try and use a machine so that he can memorize what his mother
This
looked
is
like.
clearly not what the trailers promoted. Why do you do that, Hollywood? I
okay.
seriously don't know.
Okay, I'm going to get a bit ahead of myself here, but the reason I wasn't too stoked to see this movie was kind of the opposite of your issue. And like, well, I saw quite a few trailers because there were trailers galore for this movie. Here is the problem.
How is that part
What?
of your research exactly?
Yeah.
I don't know, calibration. And now Lewis is not even going to be seeing couples.
There you go. Science. They're suggesting him to take his invention to the science fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, here's a little bit of trivia for you, everybody. This movie actually started production before the restructure at the Disney company. And believe it or not, from what we can tell from the people who made this movie, apparently the original version was just as terrible. It was basically just going to be just another Chicken Little tier level of movie. However, when John Lasseter took over the studio, he literally specifically ordered 60% of the movie to be completely redone. So basically, what you're seeing here is a movie where the filmmakers were trying their best to somehow save this atrocity that apparently we never saw how atrocious it was back in the day because, well, they never showed any footage or anything.
Oh.
This kid would later grow up to be Hino.
But yeah, like I said, this movie was miraculously saved. Oh, I love this joke that's coming here. True.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's gonna get
I relate.
Hopefully it won't fry your own brain.
So I'm guessing I'm the only one who saw this movie in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, let me put it like this.
I mean, at least for I didn't.
I'm not going to spoil. Okay, to say it completely would spoil, but let's just say the trailers were
Yeah.
this movie's greatest enemy.
I'm fully aware of that, Joe, but don't worry.
That said, I will say this: that this movie does have its fair share of issues, and I can
does.
see why it's released. You know, even with the many people who do go to see it, may not have been that excited upon seeing it.
True.
But again, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. For now, the story is nice and simple.
I am.
For now.
And even the issues that will crop up, I would argue that if the filmmakers had 4 years to reconstruct the movie as it's supposed to be, I'm pretty sure they would have turned out a fantastic movie all around. The problem, for a movie that was almost entirely restructured under a year, because remember, when John Lasseter took over, this movie was literally a year away from...
Wait, I love this character.
Yeah, I loved it.
Jesus, so overactive.
Well, she
There you go.
kind of has
Just
a
in
reason
8
for
days.
that.
There you go.
Jesus.
She's using caffeine patches.
Caffeine patches. Jesus. She's gonna go like Jay Fry in Futurama. She's gonna transcend Nirvana. God damn it.
I don't remember if I saw
my
this movie.
God.
in the theater.
Surprisingly, this character is not voiced by Patrick Warburton. You'd think he would be.
I know, right? It sounds just like him.
True, but yeah. Alright. Oh.
Hey, look, Teal, he's got it right. It's a dormant volcano.
Well, but for how long?
Points for kind of accuracy.
Well, I guess he's trying to recreate the Pompeii accident, so yeah. Oh, hello. Movie man.
All right.
And of course,
Oh,
this is
this
his
one.
professor.
Tyrant Farm. Oh,
Oh, hi, Wesley Adams.
yeah, she's totally Wesley Adams. Yeah.
Also, this is his professor played by Mr. Tom Kenny. Who else?
So yeah, everybody. As you're watching this movie, keep in mind this movie had to be 60% of it completely redone over the course of a year, which is a big no-no in animation.
I will say this though, despite that, I still judge it as the way it is. Like maybe they should have had the foresight to have more time to it, but yeah.
I think
Also,
they did pretty well with the limited time they had.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Why? Well, duh. So who's voicing this character?
I don't know.
Let me look it up. Wesley Singerman.
Huh.
I don't know him.
Oh. No, frogs! It's like the plagues of Egypt.
Oh, Pluto.
Hasn't it still? It didn't still be, incorporated.
And now, Theo, meet our villain.
That's the thing they backtracked on.
Well, I wonder.
Played by Steve Anderson.
It's not a top battle, but
Yeah, Stephen J. Stephen J. Anderson, the movie's director, plays the villain as well. So, and he's great at it, by the way.
Now, okay.
Jesus.
Now, in the 60% rewrite of this film, one of the things that was changed was improving the villain to make him more intimidating.
Not just that, but I honestly find this villain to be one of the more underrated ones because he's just so funny, but you'll see.
Oh, well, yeah. Uh-oh. You know how this goes.
With that helmet and everything, that Lewis reminds me a bit of the protagonist of Heart of Darkness, the PS1 game.
So
Don't
there you
let your
go.
screws go loose.
So yeah, that's the irony here. This invention was actually perfectly fine and was going to work. However, Lewis got sabotaged.
Again, it was a screw loose. There's a problem there.
Okay.
Now, here's one thing I never got. Okay, Lewis, how come you never tested this before going to bring it? Like, I mean, you're so determined to see about your mother, you don't want to maybe test it to make sure nothing goes completely...
I love how we took time to make that joke.
Yeah.
Well, Jover, even if he did do that, remember, it going bust isn't his fault.
Oh, no.
No.
I don't know, that I absolutely understand, but let's just say it's kind of his uncertainty in the matter that causes a bit of conflict.
Oh boy.
But what else? Anyway, I'm sure this can only end well.
Jeez.
Oh, apparently... Oh, crap.
Jesus.
Oh.
Hey, it worked!
Amazing!
Again with the Nickelodeon gag. Jesus.
Oh god, the fire ants.
No.
Those ants are gonna eat him alive.
Well, that could have gone better.
It could always be worse.
Oh.
You know, at least you didn't get detention like in Chicken Little.
So yeah, basically our villain here was actually planning on stealing his invention all along.
Yep.
But,
For what purposes, I wonder?
All will be revealed. He's got the mustache, he's got the bowler hat, the cape.
He's very stereotypically evil.
I guess that's the intention. The design is not the thing you should focus on.
Say goodbye to your dreams, kid.
Oh.
Such as life.
Yeah. Is this the representation of them tearing out 60% of the script and replacing
I'm guessing.
I know, it really hurt, but we had to do it.
Gotta make it look like it hurt.
Actually, Jova, I don't know. Obviously, I can speak for the actual filmmakers, but if I was the one that would hurt most is the 40% I wasn't able to fix. That's probably what would bother me personally.
I mean, granted, I'm not quite sure if what the 40% needed fixing. I mean, again, I'm not going to mention all the stuff that was fixing the 60% stuff, but from what I've seen, the 60% stuff mainly has to do with the villain.
Actually, it's more so. Actually, most of the 40% stuff is in the second act, and I'll point it out as we go along.
What the fuck? Please, thank you. Yeah, the reptilians.
Oh, goody.
It's a get out of jail free card. No. Oh. Present evidence.
Oh, there we go.
Oh boy.
Well,
I just want to kill you. Ow.
Is this what that feels like? It feels rather humiliating.
Maybe that's the creepypasta about the movie. There wasn't a time machine and he fell to his death, and everything is his imagination.
So there you go, everybody. This is actually a time traveling movie.
There you go. That's the movie I will advertise for.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun,
Sorry.
dun, dun,
Why a
dun.
bubble?
Let's go, well, actually, too, this movie does take also a few cues from Back to the Future, especially at the end. But anyway, there you go.
How fitting.
But yeah, continuing with what I was saying earlier, John Lasseter himself actually did publicly say that he wasn't able to fix as much as he wanted before the premiere.
Jeez.
Ha! Get it today, Lan. I see what you
Because
did there, Disney.
Thankfully, no evil Hugh Glory.
Why does the future always have to be obsessed with bubbles?
I guess simplicity makes it better.
They pop easily. Do you want to die easily?
I have no
Maybe
idea.
they're advanced bubbles?
I mean, it's an utopia, Jova. Accidents do not happen in utopias.
Right. I'm sure the Romans told themselves that every day.
It's very difficult to be sarcastic about that.
What?
What?
Okay, here's one of the problems that I wonder if John Lasseter did want to fix.
Actually, that's very savvy.
Oh, yeah, that's all fine and everything. The problem is how Lewis goes about doing it.
Well, well, it also has to do with his arc, but I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, that is one of the issues I do kind of have with the film. Lewis's arc it's not a failure by any means, but it feels disjointed, as does a lot of this movie in the second arc.
Oh,
I mean, the second act.
Well, yeah, the second act is where most of left over from the whatever the hell the original thing was.
Although, funnily enough, Pedro, according to, the info page, one of the 60% bouts of change was actually implemented into the second act, and I dare say it's kind of one of the most out-of-place things. But that later.
No. I'm sorry, I'm siding with this guy.
Huh.
True. How
Okay.
long is this gonna go?
Okay, Lewis, to his credit, after he admitted that he wasn't a time cop, he did honestly fulfill your part of the deal, but deal's a deal.
I guess.
I hope we in no way lead to any whimsical troubles.
Hijinks.
So yeah, in the meantime,
Back in the present.
I guess. Okay then. By the way, who's the composer for this?
Danny Elfman.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I can definitely tell that style of his.
Oh, I love this part. Let's listen.
Oh, this bit.
Totally. About this. for a time travel, you kind of suck at this.
Marion.
Although to be fair, as Ghost Dad established, you can have men called A, Edith, or Edith.
I wasn't aware that Mary was short for Marion, and that Marion could be a boy name. Oh, and look at that! This guy is the world's first brony. That's right.
But Pedro,
Apparently, this movie predicted brony culture.
Not only that, he loves Gen 3. That's terrible. Come on.
Also, but Pedro, he's from the future, so wouldn't that mean he's like technically not?
All the more exactly that. Well, okay, actually, yeah, that's a good
Also,
point.
brony culture existed before Gen 3 and 4. So
Yeah.
Was the brony thing back in
Also,
2007?
that extension.
Okay, you'd be surprised. Let me put it like this: Gen 4 is the one where most people came out and say it, but there were quiet fans of the first ever generation of MLP, which was a lot more gender neutral. Anyway,
Read the cue cards. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't aware that Marion could be a boy name.
you'd be surprised.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know what the hell this is. I probably should have thought this through.
Never thought that plagiarism and stealing someone else's invention would be this hard.
Sign the contract. So you stole something, but you don't even know what to do with it.
Let's just say to
Not just that, I think he saw the presentation at the school fair as he sabotaged it.
Well,
he should know.
Well, technically he was there, but he wasn't near it, so he probably just he wasn't even paying attention.
Oops.
Yeah,
There you go.
seriously.
See, just turn it on.
Come on.
I'm sure that'll get it to work.
Stop it. Oh, that's a Humpty Dumpty clock.
Time's up.
Jesus.
The pavement.
Yeah, thank
There
you. Oh,
This side up.
Wow, this man's life is sad. He calls his hat Doris.
oh,
So now a new goal is get that
that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
adult joke. Okay.
Yeah, I now get what that means.
Okay. Doctor Strange, please let us enter.
You're not supposed to do. Yeah.
is it bacon?
Didn't think this through, Carl.
Nope.
Common sense is what opens the door.
So yeah, Carl is our comic relief robot. It's interesting because he's not voiced by Robin Williams, but he kind of the actor sounds like he's trying to do a Robin Williams.
Not just that,
impression.
the design actually reminds me of the movie Robots.
Yeah, I was about to say. In fact, when did Robots come out?
I think 2004.
Yeah, 2005.
Okay.
Let's just say. Well, Carl panicked and ran away. when he saw Lewis, basically. The hair is a dead giveaway. For what?
Oh, it's like in Lost Future. Everyone in the future knows that hairstyle means he's a criminal.
Oh, you'll see.
Why don't you just change his actual hairstyle
Very good,
instead of
Ted.
covering it up?
Very good, Terry. You just found yourself the first latent parallel.
We.
Oh,
Oh, I
Hey,
got
oh no, now we're in Romeo and Juliet. No.
No, please.
Oh, that movie was craptastic.
and the sequel was something else.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I've
welcome
never
to
seen
the
it
second
either.
act of the movie, and this is where most of the leftover stuff is.
Okay.
Let's just say we're in for a bumpy ride for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes around there.
Now, to its credit, the wackiness of the family is perfectly on point, as the story it is based off on.
I
That's not
see
my
enough
issue with
hentai.
it.
Oh.
Because you left the garage door unlocked? Jesus Christ, this is the most unstable timeline there is.
Yeah. Just pretend it is like, yeah.
Oh,
Hey, we're
great.
setting up a lie revealed.
Okay.
No,
Yay.
don't worry, Terry. We're not. He will.
Wait, what?
Wilbur actually will fulfill his end of the bargain by the end of this
Well,
movie.
of course I fulfill his end of the bargain, but we still have to go for the stupid liar revealed stuff in Act 2.
Oh.
Go calculating.
I don't know. I'll bring it up when it actually does come up. I don't think it's quite the same thing as the usual use of the liar reveal thing. But
I mean, it still fulfills the trope of liar
Oh,
reveal,
geez.
but like you said, we'll get to that when we get to it. So, of course, the dilemma here is that if Wilbur doesn't get things right, he will not exist.
So yeah, basically, because of the space-time continuing being crap, it might destroy everything. So we need to fix this. All right, blueprints for the time machine.
Well, you'll do anyway.
Good. Okay. Oh,
Well,
goody.
I actually do like Bud, at least.
Now, believe it or not, this guy is voiced by Adam West, of all people.
actually,
not doing his usual voice.
Oh, is it Adam West voicing this guy as well? I know he voices the other guy, but I don't know about this one.
Yep.
Of course. Oh, God. That close.
Oh,
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. This guy's also voiced by Steve Anderson.
Oh, okay. No, it's not the garage.
I wonder if the reason Steve Anderson voiced some of these characters is because they didn't have the time to recast the roles.
Most likely. She has a German accent.
oh dear.
So yeah, basically, the Robinsons family is the family of the future, basically. They have a shit ton of awesome inventions, and basically they serve as our vision of how the life in the
What the
future
fuck?
is.
Basically, they spearhead a lot of the new innovations and
Life
whatnot.
in the future is chaotic.
Oh.
There you go. That's the guy voiced by
There's
Adam
Adam
West.
West.
Adam West. Yeah.
Of course he has to be the superhero.
He's also a great pizza delivery guy.
He delivers pizza.
Hey, every job is important.
Oh,
True that.
there's a joke that I really like coming up.
Ha! Screw you, Mother Nature!
Oh.
There you go.
Wow.
This is
So
another
in the
this is another example of the movie being at fight with itself.
Not just that, it doesn't shut up.
Yeah, this
So
is
in
so
the future-
it's so abundantly clear. This comes from the from this is a remnant of whatever this thing was before the restructuring.
I mean, okay. Like I said before, honestly, the whole randomness and families. Elvis.
Oh,
Boom, psh, ha, 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 ha. I wasn't aware that dogs paid insurance.
Lefty.
this just feels a bit like a bad episode of Futurama.
Oh, goody, Franny.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting you say that. Oh, no.
Oh, look at that! She uses frogs. Who can now sing?
And jazz, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You look a bit familiar.
Maracas.
Somewhere.
But anyway,
And of course, Franny Robinson here is played by Nicole Sullivan.
yeah, Nicole Sullivan.
This is all very random and very rushed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's abundantly. Yeah, this is another example of how the movie clearly is a mashing of two movies.
You.
Well, I mean, okay. Might as well bring up the part of the book because this seems to recognize that. Basically, the part of the book was essentially about, I forget if there was future involved, but basically it involves mainly the kid meeting the family, and the big plot starts off as just a plot to find the old guy's teeth, but then, of course, goes into more wackiness, nonsense, and more. And I guess this is where sort of the issue comes from, is like,
Oh,
well...
Jova, I love this one.
Jesus Christ. Oh, okay.
Hold on. Tom Selleck?
That's specific.
Why Tom Selleck? Of all people.
Well,
It's like
maybe,
David Hasselhoff in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
maybe it's because Tom
Why do you
Selleck-
keep showing a painting of Tom Selleck?
Well, maybe...
Why not?
Because maybe Steven Anderson is a big fan of Tom Selleck too. I don't know.
Anyway,
I mean,
oh, wait, hold on, okay. And here's another problem I have to point out, because, okay, folks, hope you can pay attention, because throughout the second act, we are going to switch between the two timelines in a way that is a bit schizophrenic. But I digress.
Personally, I don't mind it.
Oh, no.
Honestly, yeah, that hurt.
I know. It starts off fine, but then it starts to get a little... Oops.
Oh.
What? Goob, a man just
Sorry.
is in your room looking to kidnap your roommate.
Oh.
oh,
Basically, fell asleep in the pitch, and yeah.
everyone beat him up.
The game.
Oh,
Oh,
So this kid is basically anti-Norv.
oh, Jesus Christ, the eyes.
There you go. Look, even the villain is touched.
Yes, please, don't let it go. But I'm trying to prevent the creation of a movie that is going to revolutionize that phrase to ad nauseum, to the point where they'll make a song that you can't get out of your head.
Let the hate flow.
All right, calling this is either a descendant of Booger or himself in the future.
You'll just have to wait and see.
Of course. Yeah.
well, that wasn't weird.
Yeah.
I love the way he's animated.
Yeah.
Like he feels he feels a lot much like Hotel Transylvania. He's very much animated like a 1940s animated character. Like he's very fluid
Well,
with
the
his movement.
design also is a throwback to that, so I guess that's the idea.
I wonder who was the supervising animator.
Hmm?
Think, man, think. There you
Time
go.
machine.
He went to the future.
Also, it turns out that the future takes place in 2037 in this universe, so that means that it's 30 years ahead, so that means that the present time takes place in 2007.
The year of release, alright.
There you go.
Classic.
Keep moving forward.
Hmm.
That's a long story, Lewis. We'll talk about it later.
Hmm.
That sounds like the possible opening
metaphors.
plot to a mad scientist story.
Well, James Cameron came up with the concept of the Terminator in a fever dream that he had when he was sick.
Wow.
So,
Okay, inspiration
geez.
comes from the weirdest of avenues, element.
Failure. Sad face. Toilet.
Well, he would have to be persistent if he somehow came up with a toilet.
Yeah. Was the one that was stolen.
yep.
Right on cue, I guess.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Please.
All right then.
Let's see if it works, man. Maybe not.
Well, if we
Yeah.
resolve this now, it
Bit
would
too
be-
early in the movie for this.
Yeah, it's a bit too
Still
early
an
in the
hour
movie.
left. Please. It's no use.
Keep moving forward, Lewis.
Yeah, keep moving forward for the movie. No, leave things to the competent.
Aw, it's a baby.
Did we just sister?
Yes,
birth?
you just saw a hat give birth to you.
What the? Ooh,
It's a cartoon tale, just roll with it.
I better do
Oh,
like
that's-
this.
It's adorable.
It's as adorable as a baby Metroid. It can still kill you, though.
Yeah. Oop. No.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
he'll survive.
Look, you need to think these things through.
What?
You'll
No,
turn
this
them
is
into
not
a
Ratchet
duck?
and Clank. This is not Ratchet and Clank. Yeah.
You're really not good at this whole plan making thing, are you?
Or being evil. Ah.
It sounds like there's supposed to be a parody of the two lions guarding the
Yeah.
gate.
The one that tells the truth and the other lies.
Yeah.
Yay! More dual shocks.
Dinner and a show. Helps when your mother kind of innovated the whole talking frogs can be musicians deal.
Oh, Jesus.
Mini Carls.
Yay! Spaghetti meatballs, because with Disney, so it's like the Trump.
Wait a minute, you don't have gravy with that.
No.
No, what are you doing?
But it's the future, Shiro. People in the future eat weird things.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, I will say this, at least it's not one of those future where they just, those compressed protein bars.
Actually, guys, the whole graveyard noodles thing, that actually is a dish.
What? I'm gonna pretend to not have heard that.
I mean, I like weird food combinations, but I just can't see that working at all.
Basically, let me put it like this. They don't really include, the spaghetti sauce.
So yeah, we have
on
to
it,
lie about who Lewis is because, well, we can't let everybody figure out that he's
Canada!
from Canada.
Did we just say basically when the USA conquered Canada?
Yep,
Off
it's
screen.
now it's now New Montana.
Unfortunate implications considering the time.
He's not lying about that. Well, he doesn't have bad head hair, but seriously, Lewis, what the heck is your hair? Oh
Food fights.
dear.
Yay!
Futuristic food fight.
Oh, you didn't. What the fuck happened to the filter?
She's about to do a murder.
Now we're parroting old kung fu movies, and the dubbing is even out of sync.
I get the idea, but it feels a bit out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I can see one of the issues here is like, well, in making this movie, a lot of the changes they did was trying to apparently the main problem with the movie from the get-go was kind of the mismatched tones. And, okay, to the movie's credit, it started off as being a lot of random shit. It's a wiener!
Oh, that was simple.
I wish family dinners were that fun.
Oh, okay then.
I think part of the issue is like, well, they started with a story that's essentially just genuine, funny, wacky nonsense, and would have been good. I think it was when they started adding in the more serious components where it was definitely a table toss of, hey, where do we want to be serious and where do we want not to? Which is not to say it couldn't
Hey,
have
that
worked.
invention looks familiar.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
My guess is, Jova, they wanted what John Lasseter was talking about when he said it is that he wanted to get rid of all of the wacky elements and replace them with new ones. So, but unfortunately, we couldn't.
I'll admit, I would not have liked that because Meet the Robinsons is definitely supposed to be something that's a lot of wackiness stuff. I'm not saying that you can't add serious elements on it, but to do away with the wackiness would, I'll admit, kind of make the movie a bit more boring. That's not to say that the base story isn't bad, but when you take out all of the wackiness, what we're left with is essentially a kid who wants to find his mom because basically, if you're in the future stuff, a lot of that is wacky stuff. I can understand the valiant effort, though. Again, the issue is, as per usual, the execution. Oh, and speaking of the execution, we're about to get one of the trippier scenes. Well, not this one. This one's just funny.
Aside from rebuilding the movie in general, obviously, when it comes to the changes, they didn't have the time to properly think things over as well as they would if they had 4 years. So obviously, some of the changes that they made obviously were not fully thought out as they probably would have been otherwise, sadly.
I mean, heck, for all we know, maybe it's just Lasseter's opinion that the movie was going to be a train wreck, and maybe it would have been better if they stuck with whatever the original script is. We'll never know. There's no director's cut or whatnot.
Well, actually, the original director of this movie is not even at Disney anymore, apparently. So
yeah, so we'll never know.
What time are you at?
47.
48.
Sorry,
49.
can only one person say that, please?
50 minutes and 53 seconds and counting.
Okay.
I love this scene, though.
Mind control is not really working.
51.5.
Okay.
Already
just
passed
passed
that.
it.
Sorry.
Go into 5130.
Okay.
Oops. Yeah.
5125.
All right, almost there. What the fuck is views?
And
Click.
Yeah, Frog ain't exactly gonna
I
work.
loved the guy's expression when he was. I'm not sure this plan was well thought through, and he's about to burst into tears.
Oh. Oh no. Yay! Amazing!
You'll see.
Grandpa, no. Yeah.
Keep moving forward.
Jesus.
Oh, trust me, Teo. That motto is way more important than you know as of yet.
Fortune.
By the way, the Talking Frog is voiced by Jamie Cullum, who's an English jazz pop singer and songwriter. Fitting.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, he means that when he says that.
What?
What are you proposing to that hat? Don't answer that. Wow, I wish failures were this well received.
Well, like they said, Jova, you learn from failure and success, not so much.
Yeah, but at this rate, you'd think they give out awards for failures, and oh my god, Timothy Green replicated this but terribly.
They do. It's called the Participation Award.
No, sure, I just realized. This is kind of the moral Timothy Green, but done terribly in Timothy Green.
Yeah, that you're thinking of Neil Armstrong, dude.
Doesn't you know the moon landing was completely fake?
Oh dear.
Even if it was, by this point it definitely isn't, so who cares?
Yeah. Seriously. It's gonna take a while, you know. What the? This. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Remember the
Trailer.
plan.
Okay.
Remember the plan was to use a T-Rex. So
Okay, this was actually one of the scenes added in the 60% rewrite script. If it adds to the movie or not is your choice, because this is what a lot of people
didn't like that. What?
no, it's not
didn't
that.
like. What?
It's not that. You'll see. There you go.
Oh God! Already you'll do.
I actually really like the T-Rex, especially because of a specific guy that's gonna come up in a
Oh,
bit.
me too. I love the T-Rex. So some people get a bit split with the T-Rex, but I'll talk about that later because the scene is awesome. Because we get to see the Robinson family in action.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
There you go. Jesus.
Well, to be fair, Adam West has done weirder stuff. Too easy.
You just had to say it. And
That's okay. Carl's a robot, so we can do this and still be PG friendly.
yes, as Yu-Gi-Oh told us.
Wow, acrobatic T-Rex, all right.
All right, Jova. If you don't mind, I'll play the T-Rex's voice when that joke comes up. For the sake of Shiri.
Okay, sure.
I don't think meatballs are enough.
Oh, here we go. Any moment now.
Any minute now. Oh,
Oh.
Got a little problem there?
Yeah. I have a big head and little arms.
yeah, this was in the trailer. I remember
I'm just
this.
not sure how well this plan was fought for.
Also,
Literally, everybody he takes over tells him.
Also, the funny thing is, like, well, if you listen closely, you can hear the T-Rex sounding out the words. It's brilliant.
How sad?
You'd think he'd learn by now.
How sad is it to when your own mind control victims are calling off your stupidity?
Yeah,
Also, the T-Rex's name is Tiny, of course.
of course.
The irony.
It is Attack on Titan now.
Not gruesome enough.
Oh,
Also, the music isn't dramatic enough.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a joke.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Just another reference to Back to the Future.
Regiment. That's a Tarantino shot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
So there you go,
sleeping
now-
with the fish is all right.
yeah. I'm with that on that. You don't fucked it up. Oh,
Oh,
right.
Right. Sorry. For a moment there, I thought I had a family.
Also,
Are you
it's not
sure?
like the last 5-10 minutes have been all that peachy.
Maybe.
Yeah, it should be fine, right?
Oh,
Wow, legal adoption has become a lot more easier in the future, I see.
Who wants to sit through an entire movie about the legal proceedings of adoption, though?
no, please.
I mean, but sure, it's literally a kid that just know and bam.
Well, shit. This might cause a problem.
Yeah, a lot actually.
So Wilbur is forced to take a drastic measure.
Oh, of course.
He's actually...
His hair is terrible.
And here we go. Let's hit the checklist
Yep.
of the lie revealed. Yay!
Yeah, it may not be how you expected, but liar revealed. How the perfect way to pretty much cap off the
Let's
ending of that
just be
movie.
thankful that this trope hopefully is gonna stay that for a while now.
Honestly, unlike something like the way Uncharted 4 used it in the more traditional manner, I think this.
Oh no, trust me, Pedro. I think the DreamWorks movie will use it way worse than this.
Let me say it
but,
though, because the quote unquote liar reveal thing, at least in this movie, it's actually done with a specific purpose that will actually help move the plot forward. So it's not like it's entirely done just for the sake of padding out stuff, and you know. So I think this is actually one of those cases where it works fine.
Aw, yay! And yes, we
Yeah.
have and hey, the Robinsons got a new family member after all, the dinosaur. No kidding, that dinosaur's gonna stick with them for the rest of the movie.
I guess that doesn't change the thing. The space-time continuum.
Well, it's a T-Rex. I'm sure nobody will miss that.
But The Simpsons told me otherwise.
Not to mention, this will also we're also going to get one of the better scenes in the movie anyway. So
Okay. It's not so much that
Jesus.
liar revealed bit that bugs me. It's the other liar revealed bit that kind of bugs me. But we'll get to that eventually.
oh, you mean the identity of the villain? We already
No.
know.
Not the identity of the villain. The one involving, well, the one between Wilbur and Lewis, actually.
Oh, we already had that at this point. At this point, there's nothing but Lewis and the villain at this point.
I really like that hedge. I can't pinpoint what it is, but I like it.
Gee, I wonder, Shira, you want to go swimming in it?
What the fuck?
I am your conscience.
Oh, here we go.
The fairy godmother you are not.
What are you talking about? He's totally fairy godmother material.
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse, Lewis.
I know it doesn't work the previous 2 times, but why don't you make
Wow,
back
they even
control
have to
of
show
him?
him crossing
then?
his fingers.
Oh, trust me, Joe. He even rubs it in Lewis's face in a moment, and I like that. Like it adds to how immature he is as a person.
Hey, looks like we're in San Francisco.
Gee, Joe, it's like this.
That's all for my invention.
Gee, Joe, it's like this was made by the same filmmakers.
Nah.
Yes. Too many instructions, you need to take notes.
Oh well.
Of course.
About that.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Of course.
Hint, hint.
Which explains why the family
Yep.
reacted that way when they saw his hair, and why Wilbur was trying to hide it.
And yeah, like Pedro said, this is admittedly one of the times when lie revealed is done with more of a purpose because, well, yeah, if he could have told them the exact truth, that would have pretty much risked an immense time paradox.
Not just
Although
that, but we
time's not
moved.
falling apart yet, so I guess we're good.
Not just that, but we moved on from it quickly anyway. So. Yeah, this line was used in
this
the
was
trailers
really
as
from the
well.
first trailer.
Yeah, allow me to shed some light on the subject. You mean our old
There we go.
Look, this is what became of. This is what became of the poor boy.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, with that tough
I'll tell you.
upbringing-
The backstory is hilarious.
Oh,
Just listen to this.
But he fell asleep.
Yep. And that kind of drove him insane.
Also, the lack of sleep kind of,
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Listen here.
Gee, I wonder why.
I love this change here, and this cool that's gonna happen in a second. Though. Yeah. No.
Jeez. Well, I guess psychology does that at some point with a situation like
Projecting to the nth degree.
There you go. This was his original brilliant plan: throwing eggs.
egging the building.
Yes. You are a really bad villain. You know that.
Yeah. Oh. What?
Playtime Planet.
Huh, so it's the sister to Pizza Planet.
What is up with the pony imagery when it comes to the villain? So there you go. Lewis actually invented Doris. However, Doris is evil.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
Doris
going full
wanna-
hard 9000.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Lewis. So there you go. Which explains why
Along with
Doris.
the failed
So basically, as you can probably guess, Doris is just using Goob as a way to get back at Lewis.
Huh.
You know something's wrong when a feminine bowler hat is kind of your arch nemesis trying to get revenge on you.
Yeah.
Maybe you done goofed in the inventing procedure.
So yeah, Goob is really just a pawn. The real villain is Doris.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, we better go with Doris's plan. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Doris sees it that way.
Totally. There you go.
And because Wilbur left the garage door unlocked,
There you go.
Yeah.
you know, Lewis, did you ever think about maybe inventing keys for that, like a car, just to prevent somebody from stealing it?
Well, yeah, I guess that just works. Keep moving forward.
You know,
Exactly.
he kind of does have a point. Sure, Goop had some right reasons to complain, but the kid kind of ruined himself up.
So there you go. The terrace in the future.
We.
The hat is not amused.
Nope.
Yeah. You are so grounded, son. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
You just had to say it.
Well, give my regards to Vision.
Poor C-3PO. I'm sure for the better. Jesus.
Wow, I must have loved the face the secretary had when meeting that.
You know, you'd think future Lewis would have left blueprints around for that thing.
He did. He did. Shiro,
He
don't you,
did.
don't you remember? Like 40 minutes ago when we were using
Well,
those.
yeah, but
Here's the problem. Kid Lewis is not as adept.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
then detailed instructions.
Well, remember, Shiroi, the time machine was invented by adult Lewis, not young Lewis. So,
I don't feel
Whoa,
so
so,
snap.
so there you go. Much like in Back to the Future 2, now we're going to see the bad future of
good.
this
Instantly
world.
materializing. Oh. Hello.
A little something to peek into the past.
Kupiam.
Mass-producing Doris. Oh, dear.
Yay.
This can. There you go. So that's what's going to happen if Goob goes through with this.
Wow, he just got killed by a bunch of hats.
Doris and her army will just take over the entire world.
No hard feelings.
Hey, you know, there's an insane woman in Japan from Kill la Kill who may agree with using clothing to enslave the world. You may want to look her up.
I am sorry, Lewis, but you must be destroyed.
And oh boy.
Oh yeah, right. The wires. There we go.
Whee! All
So the
right.
question begs, how is the Robinson family still there just with bowler hats on? Like, shouldn't they not be here still?
My guess
I
is
don't
Doris.
know.
My guess is Jova Doris.
Well, besides Jova, time travel is bullshit, I guess.
well. Aside from that,
Oh God.
Time travel is nothing but a problem.
aside from that, aside from what Theo just said, well, the Doris specifically is controlling various humans to do her
Literally
bidding.
a planet of
Oh,
ants.
no. I get that, but it's literally the same Robinson family. Like, they're even wearing the same outfits. They just have bowler hats on. Like, shouldn't the Robinson
Rush development,
family-
I guess.
I guess, yeah.
Probably.
So this is now the Matrix officially. The machines took over and the humans are the slaves.
So how does reproduction
They
work?
even look like the octopi machines.
Mm-hmm. Well, technically, Theo, this was still during that point in time where referencing the Matrix was still kind of a thing that people like to do a lot.
I'm surprised during the Kung Fu sequence we did not have that pre-60 shot.
So yeah, Lewis must find a way to stop Doris' plans. I actually really like the way he stops it. Because it does it so in a very clever way. Clever depends on the perspective of the. But I like the idea because it embraces the time travel aspect of the story in a way. But you'll see what I mean.
Oh yeah, for the better.
All right.
Yeah, Google.
Oh, here we go. I love this one.
Sir, did the kid just show up in?
Oh, here we go.
automobile?
Check this out too.
Helps to have the spoilers.
Wait, seriously? That's it?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, rush development requires us to not take too much long, sadly, too.
I mean, granted, we're not told if that was, part changed a bit, but I mean, okay. It depends on your point of view. You could find it to be a nice metaphorical change, which is actually a rather brilliantly presented line. Or, yeah, it's just a rushed conclusion. Like, it's kind of weird for him to say, I'm never going to invent you. And then somehow that solves the issue. But I digress. A kid with the bubbles!
Jova, humans love bubbles. When people see them,
All
they
right,
turn into cats for a good 30
All right,
seconds.
everybody, now enjoy, because everything from this point on...
goody.
Everything from this point on is absolutely fantastic,
Alright.
if you ask me.
Yeah, including the ball. Yeah, including the crotch kick he just gave that guy.
Well, yeah. So there you go. Lewis wants wants him in his family.
I'm sure we can fix the third
probably
problem.
did. Yeah, true. Huh.
How did Goop manage to do that?
He's Batman.
He has the speed of a 1940s character. Anyway, so yeah, he crossed everything, and
He
No,
has
well-
absolutely no idea what to do with his life. That's kind of a tragic ending for our villain.
so yeah, now he's just going to try to, I guess, find a new meaning to his life now that he's lost it.
Let's see, his one friend, which was a bowler hat, turned out to not even like him, and he kind of ruined any semblance of relationship with his
However,
friend.
don't worry for Goop. Let's just say Lewis,
Oh, we'll get to that.
Lewis still manages to find a way to save him.
Also, Lewis, meet your future wife, who was clearly that girl from the past who was doing her science project
Yeah.
with the frogs.
Oh, adult Lewis is home.
And he's voiced by Tom Selleck.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, him
Yep.
grounded forever.
Well, since we've already proved that we won't have a time paradox by you meeting me, let me show you everything you're going to make.
Yes.
I mean, I guess at this point of the game,
Might as
we
well.
kind of have established that they ain't going to get time paradoxes that easy.
And time travel is different according to writers, so whatever.
Oh, it's like I said, Pedro. I mean, it's like I said, Pedro. At this point in the game, they pretty much have proven that you don't get time paradoxes just from knowing what your future is. So it's probably safe. And let's see, what's the invention that started everything? The one that started his rise?
The memory scan.
Yep. Basically, if it wasn't for Goob preventing him from that's what the future would have been. However, yeah.
And it's...
Obviously. Yeah.
Okay, I infer from this that the dad did actually remember going to the past, because what he says about the mom
yeah, of course.
does kind of do that.
Well, that particular reaction from him, I think you'll have to figure out that first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
T-Rex.
And hey, we got a pet T-Rex.
Carl has a few ideas for his creator.
Maybe for design 3.0.
Maybe.
To be released alongside the likes of...
How about a red arm?
And then one that disappears
here's
the next time.
his actual adopted parents. There you go.
Joel G, don't you look familiar, miss?
Yeah. Oh, I'll listen to this one.
Oh, this bit.
Sure.
Congrats, Lewis.
Honestly, he's not wrong. He's just not wrong.
Well, congrats, Lewis. You officially know you're going to get laid at least once. I mean, at least once.
All right, back to the present then.
Are we running on soda all of a sudden?
No, it's still bubbles.
What?
It suddenly looks like we're in 94
Are we in Gotham City? Yeah. Gotham Gaslight.
Yeah.
We've traveled back to the beginning of the movie.
You know, in hindsight, you may actually kill her with the shock if you turn out to be behind her. Wouldn't that be quite a tragic irony?
And...
He causes his own mother's death. Uh-oh.
There you go. He was the noise that she heard.
Huh.
There you go. Lewis finally learned his lesson.
That lesson being...
Keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Not backwards.
Aw, she left him in a cardboard box. How sweet.
Well, she probably didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
True.
The movie doesn't outright state it, but it's pretty easy to assume. It's pretty safe to assume that she was poor, and that's why she gave him away.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even know who the father was or how the circumstances went.
True, very true. Oh, fun fact, actually, the orphanage runner there, Mildred, she's played by Angela Bassett, who you may remember from seeing at a few Ubisoft E3 conferences.
Yeah.
Aww. Yeah, and last time we tried changing history, well, mankind got taken over by a bunch of bowler hats. I don't even want to think of what might happen if I interfere.
Aw.
That sounds like a good thing to tell your therapist, son.
Yeah.
How many times have they been through this?
We don't talk about it.
You're still grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we have the finale, which is, if you ask me, pretty brilliant. Oh, there you go. Taking a cue from Back to the Future 1.
Goob.
There you go. Just like how they changed Marty changed the future for the better in Back to the Future 1. There you
Yay,
go.
and now Goob will not grow up to be a vengeful psychopathic child, so he'll actually get
Not
adopted.
only that, he has to thank he is basically his roommate for winning this, so it's completely reverted.
Yep.
And she's still crazy.
Well, with that man caffeine patches, yeah.
Not war, mate.
Whoa.
Wait,
What happened to you, Jen?
wait, what?
Let's just not.
So she's an Olympic swimmer.
Okay, then.
Boop, boop, boop.
So there you go. Back to the memory of her wedding. Oh, hi, Bugs.
Oh, the irony.
Yep.
There we go. Meet your adoptive parents, Lewis. Oh, I love this one.
Yeah, the hair.
Cord.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. There you go. Check this out.
So suddenly she sticks?
I guess.
There you go. There you go. Just because
haircut.
he's the only one who thinks she's right, so she falls for him. There you go.
Oh yeah, it's literally laid out right in front.
I love this song. Listen to the lyrics, because the lyrics are very good. And they perfectly sum up the theme of the movie.
Aww. So now both Lewis and Goob can finally be adopted.
Also, isn't it nice to have a movie with an orphanage that isn't shit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
too.
I know.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing stuff like Pan.
Well, that's the thing, Tio. British movies seem to be cursed to
Hold
still
on.
have cool
Listen to these lyrics.
orphanages.
I particularly love this lyric. Also, allow me to remember, this is another demonstration. This is for the people who made Big Hero 6. The main character is also a nerd who... Oh,
Move over.
around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things, because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. Walt Disney.
Wow,
Keep-
so
Wow.
fit.
Moving
well.
forward.
Ow. Okay. Yeah, this sells the movie to me.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant way to end the movie. Like,
Not just that,
you want demonstration
not
that
just
this movie is a great addition to the Disney canon. This movie is literally made entirely based on Walt Disney's speech.
Not just
Which
that,
is
with
yeah.
that final phrase is basically a gigantic apology for the past few years.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Like, don't get me wrong, the movie still has, moments that I didn't like, but wow.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie that I admit maybe okay.
In hindsight, I can see, this was the big first step in the right direction.
Absolutely, and you know what? First steps.
Oh,
are always
Oh,
a
look at
bit
that!
messy.
Executive produced by Clark Spencer, who was the producer of Wreck-It Ralph, Zootopia, and is now also producer of Wreck-It Ralph 2. So there you go.
I know that it's more in hindsight and everything, but this movie is very meta in this sense.
Oh, it is. Well, hey, what a shock to you! A time traveling story ended up being meta than we expected.
Not
I
just
think
that.
it's a good kind of meta, though, because it isn't rubbed in your face for the sake of it.
I like to particularly mention "Little Wonders," that song we just heard played by Rob Thomas. Like, I particularly like that line. Our lives are made in these small hours. Time fades away, but these small hours still remain. Of course, going back to the beginning of the movie, you need to keep moving forward because the good moments will always remain and the bad moments will just fade away. So it perfectly fits with the theme of the movie.
Now, this is probably a good time for me to bring up one issue that was actually I had with the marketing. Okay, as I mentioned before, I saw a lot of trailers. Well, okay, so one trailer showed one suggesting this was going to be about Lucas trying to remember about his mother. And then we got all the other different trailers. Basically, you'd be hard pressed to tell what this movie was actually about, and not necessarily in the
The
group.
one I got was promoting the movie to just having just the hijinks with the family, and that was literally it.
Pretty much
was-
what we got here, too.
It's interesting.
That was criminal. Like, I needed to see this in theaters.
It's
Jesus.
interesting, which is interesting because
Wow,
when you
look
actually
at that
watch the
Angela
hijinks,
Bassett as- Oh, never mind.
you know what's the sad part is that when you watch the hijinks with the family in context, they work much better than they do in the trailers because by that point you're already familiarized with the tone and the overall world and stuff. So by that point you're much more tolerant to a bit more wackiness for the sake of mixing things up.
they're still confusing, but at least I have context for having why they're so confusing.
Let me sum it up like this. Like, well, if you saw the trailers, as far as you were concerned, this was going to be about a wacky stuff, but you almost didn't know about the time travel. Like, I think there's like one trailer that mentioned time travel. Otherwise, as far as you understood, this was an alternate universe, and they didn't really clue in on any of the more serious bits here and there, which admittedly might have disappointed some people. However, actually seeing the movie, though, the wackiness does work. Like, for instance, the more wackier stuff is kept mainly to the future. Sure, I mean, Goob himself is wacky, but we have to remember, he's from the future. So in a sense, it's a nice semblance of reality meets weirdness. I mean, heck, if we know what the future's going to be like. But you see my point. It's like, well, here, it's about organized chaos. Now, admittedly, some of the problems don't, ironically, some of the problems I have don't come from the weird random stuff. I mean, to me, it actually does help the movie. I'll get more to my issues with it in my final thoughts. Pedro, is there an after credits scene?
No, there isn't. Anyway, final thoughts. I still have a big soft spot for this movie. Yeah. Obviously, if you take a good objective look at it, it does have quite a few problems here or there. Like the tone can be a bit like the balance of the tone is not as good as it could have been, and the humor, while good in general, sometimes you can definitely say some remnants of the Chicken Little era are still here. However, I still think, for the fact that these filmmakers had only a year to save this thing, and they still managed to pull this off, I find that to be an incredibly impressive feat. And considering how these people went on to make Winnie the Pooh 2011, by the way, if you guys haven't seen that movie, you should, because as far as I'm concerned, the 2011 Pooh movie is an animated masterpiece. And Big Hero 6, which is also a fantastic movie. Considering how the fact that with 4 years, they made 2 fantastic movies, I have no doubt, there's no doubt in my mind that if they had 4 years to remake this entire thing, it would have been just as good as the other 2.
Shame about the canceled sequel that was going to have the time and love put into it.
Sadly. But, well, who knows? Maybe one day.
I would see more potential in a TV series.
Well,
I mean, who knows? I mean, I see potential in either a sequel or a TV series, but sadly, the sequel got axed by John Lasseter himself, of all people, because it was in
if he himself decided that it was not worth it, I guess he had good reason for it.
Well, okay, allow me to explain. It was more so the sake that it was during the great sequel purge.
Yeah, he wanted to eliminate Disney sequels in general because of their bad name.
Yeah.
The
problem is, like, well, it didn't matter what the quality of the sequels were. In fact, there were some sequels that would have been pretty awesome, but sadly, pretty much everything got canned, including the Meet the Robinsons too. But
which is why they waited a bit before they made Wreck-It Ralph 2, because now that this animation studio right now is in a very high place of respect and reputation. Now they can afford to take a risk with a sequel, and not to mention the Wreck-It Ralph sequel is being handled by the exact same team that made the first one, so it's going to be a completely different scenario than the direct-to-video sequels anyway. So it's not really a.
You know what? Who knows? Maybe we'll get a revival of the Meet the Robinsons franchise.
Well, it depends if the creators are up for it. I don't know if they've moved on at this point. But anyway, continuing. Like I said, the movie does have its fair share of problems, but honestly, if you ask me, the problems don't even come close to ruining it. Like there's way too much charm, way too much fun and lovable characters, and an overall really good, heartfelt story with a great message. And all those, I guess it's just like the song says. The bad moments fall away, but the small, great hours still remain.
Now, if only Disney could have followed their own advice instead of canceling Tron Free because Tomorrowland kind of underperformed.
Yeah.
But anyway. Well, this was more so for the animation studio in general, not so much for.
Yeah.
But anyway,
you know what I mean. No, but it's just hindsight.
Yeah, it's the message is great, the story is great. The villain is one of the most underrated Disney villains, if you ask me, because he's so fun. Like, and I love how and the thing that makes him unique among all the other Disney is that he sucks as a villain. I mean, how many Disney villains suck ass at their job? Because usually,
mostly, he kind of reminds me of Hook, if I have to be honest.
I'm sorry, Tail. Hook is a fucking Hook is a fucking genius mastermind compared to this guy.
True.
I mean,
deliver the bomb, so yeah.
I mean, not only that, Hook has managed to fool protagonists in both movies to the point where literally the only reason he's lost at point is because of his pride at times.
Theo,
Anyway.
this villain literally has his mind-controlled victims tell him.
Not working, yeah.
Yes.
Heck, his bowler hat is a better villain than him.
Anyway, I
Well,
like this.
his bowler hat is the villain, really.
I do like also. I know a lot of people don't usually care for pop songs in animated films, but I actually don't mind the ones that they have here. The one in the credits, "The Future Has Arrived." I don't care much for it, but it's in the credits anyway, so it doesn't matter. The two ones that they were used, the one in the montage at the opening, which did a good job foreshadowing what was up to come, and of course this final one, "Little Wonders" by Rob Thomas, which is I think one of the more underrated Disney songs. It's a really good song that perfectly fits with the ending. So nice, another good example of how to use pop songs right, because they can be used right if the filmmakers know what they're doing.
Absolutely. In fact, if anything, I'd say that there's more that use them right than those that do them wrong. It's really accentuated when they're used terribly.
So yeah, like I said, the movie does have its problems, but honestly, they all wash away in the grand scheme of things, as far as I'm concerned, because the movie overall is very solid and manages to entertain you all throughout. Not to mention, as Theo said, that final bit of text at the end, that was the perfect way to end the movie. Like nobody can ever say that this movie does not fully embrace
Disney?
the magic of Disney animation, because they literally made an entire movie inspired by a Walt Disney quote. How about that? And before I finish off my final thoughts, which allow me to tell you a little bit of story about Stephen J. Anderson, the director of this movie, and also the voice of the villain and Old Bud. Hey guys, did you know that Stephen J. Anderson is also an orphan?
Go figure.
And and yes, he actually did share a bit of his backstory in the behind the scenes stuff that we have of this movie, where he said that one day when he did come of age, he actually did plan. Throughout his entire life, he was planning on one day when he was, when he came of age, to go try and meet his real parents, because he was curious about it. But by the time he became an adult, he just kind of stopped caring about that and just moved on. So you can probably assume that he put a lot of his own life into this movie. So it's about it takes an orphan to know an orphan's pain. So yeah, that also is a nice little thing about the movie. I think, again, flawed, but there's way too much good stuff to make the flaws matter in the grand scheme of things, if you ask me. It's still a very good movie. And right after this, Disney went on to go on a roll. Right after this, they made Bolt, which was good. It was interesting thing about Bolt.
Oh, you liked Bolt? I thought you didn't like that one.
I liked Bolt. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was good enough. Like, don't get me. What's interesting thing about Bolt is that it doesn't reach the same highs that this movie does reach, but it's an overall more consistent film.
Yeah,
that's the one thing. It doesn't reach the same level of highs, but at the same time doesn't reach the same lows. It's a good movie. It's not great. It's not bad. It's not mediocre. It's just good. It's good, and that's it. It's fine.
A solid movie.
It's a solid movie all around. And then of course came Princess and the Frog, then Tangled, then Winnie the Pooh, then Wreck-It Ralph, and you know the rest. I mean, Disney Animation Studios is right now the best animation studio in Hollywood, and don't get me wrong, I still love Pixar, but Disney is the more consistent one right now, because they've delivered so many great movies in a row, whereas Pixar just recently still gave us a Cars sequel that I hated. So
ironic, ain't it? How there was actually a point where people were mistaking Disney movies for Pixar films, not only because of how good they were, but because Disney was kind of doing Pixar's job better than them.
Yeah.
With stuff like Wreck-It Ralph.
This was the beginning of an upward scale that culminated in 2016 with the brilliant Zootopia and a fantastic Moana.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm not quite sure I'd say it culminated, because it's still going strong and they could go higher, but god dang, it's going high.
We'll see. Anyway, yeah, that was my final thoughts. Flawed movie, but I still think it's an overall really well-made movie. And who knows, if they had 4 years, I'm certain that the creators of Big Hero 6 would have turned this into a brilliant film. That's my certainty. Go ahead, Joe.
Maybe someday we'll get a remake. Okay, yeah. This is definitely a movie that I like better now that I'm older, because I'll admit, seeing it as a kid, and it wasn't even in theaters, the first time I saw it, it kind of bored me. And I was a bit confused why, because there was a lot of exciting stuff going on, but I felt bored. I think now I understand why I may have felt a bit bored by it, in the sense that when you look at it the first time, the film does feel a bit disjointed until you get all the pieces together. In the sense that, like, well, it does feel like some scenes are very, very, very loosely tied together. Like, I mean, 1 minute, and the kid's trying to find out about his parenthood, but, oh, no, now he's in the future and stuff. I mean, thankfully it works, but it does feel like it's a bit loosely connected, which may have to do with how they were, kind of remaking this movie in and of itself. Now, I'll say this right now, my favorite thing about it is definitely the random and wacky stuff when it works and isn't overplayed, because it leads to a lot of some of the best humor about it. The characters are nice, well, and varied. I do feel like Lewis's arc was a bit run-of-the-mill, but that's fine. Same with Wilbur's. I guess my biggest complaint with this movie, in fact, I wouldn't even call it a complaint, I call it more a critique, is like, well, this movie feels like it wants to really peak high, but it feels like it kind of subdues some stuff. Like, okay, hear me out. They do a lot of wacky stuff, but they don't always go as wacky as they could. It almost feels like they're keeping it a bit muted. And it does feel like it kind of does hinder the film a bit from reaching its full potential.
If you'll allow me, Jova, probably fear of Chicken Little backlash.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing to describe the shortcomings of this film.
They played it safe, is what they did.
Yeah, and I do feel like that does kind of hurt the film in some areas because, like, well, I mean, look, you have your serious moments, but by all means, feel free to go as wacky as you can. It's the future. And yeah, it does feel like they kind of played things a bit too safe in some regards. But hey, if that's the worst thing about this movie, I am A-okay. Again, like I said, this movie feels like it doesn't have as high a high as it could have. Thankfully, it doesn't feel like it has the lowest of lows, thank God. It's in this weird meandering middle section. Not, in the sense that it's the most pristine middle ground, but in the kind where the middle ground where it's like, hey, I'm having fun, but not as much as I could have. But I will say this, though. It is a pretty good film looking back. The morals here are very good to teach to your kids every now and then. Keep moving forward and whatnot. And, it does feel like a happy ending that's for the most part earned. I say for the most part because one of my other issues is a bit how easily some conflicts are handled, with just a simple bout of, oh, I'm never going to invent you. Saying that will totally mean that stays the same. It feels like they could have solved that a bit, cooler, kind of like the video game did, but then again, that's the video game.
Oh, they made a video game out of this?
Oh, Tio, like I said, there was a lot of marketing and commercialism for this movie. Just not done in the best of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, the characters are a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. If there's one thing I would have liked to see more of, realize how we meet the Robinsons, but the Robinsons as a family aren't really in that much of the movie when you think about it.
Only the central part, mostly.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame, because I would have liked to see them do more with that. It is called Meet the Robinsons.
Once again, it probably has to do with the fact that they didn't want to overplay the comedy out of fear of the same backlash they had with the previous film.
Yeah, I'll admit, this is a movie I would definitely like to see a remake of, one way or another. Just to see how they could do it to its full potential. But yeah, that said, though, I still recommend seeing this film. Like, well, if you like future stories, if you like wacky comedy or stuff, you'll probably like this every now and then. And again, it teaches a good moral. The music is definitely some of Danny Elfman. Well, it's Danny Elfman, so of course it's nice, colorful, and creative. And I actually do like all the pop songs used. And hey, the referential humor is pretty top-notch, to the point where we've even got Tarantino as humor in a kid's movie. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So yeah, good movie, but it feels like it plays it a bit too safe. I wished I could have seen more of the Robinsons, and seriously, get some higher stakes and drama. Okay, then.
And better marketing.
Oh, Joy, how about you go next?
Oh, sure. Well, despite saying that, I actually wasn't burnt by the marketing like everyone else, because I only saw one trailer and I barely remember it. I know it actually did mention some of the time travel stuff, but not very much. I can't remember if I saw this film in the theaters or not, but I did see it without hearing the opinions of anyone else.
Oh,
so I was able to...
Same for me in my first time watching it. I mean, I didn't see it in theaters, but I didn't hear the opinions of anyone else about it.
I was able to. I was able to enjoy it as it was, and while I didn't like it as much as I do now, I still enjoyed it regardless of any of the issues that were in the middle. Because, I mean, they had little time to do this, so it was kind of a rush job. But the only part of the movie that I felt actually was rushed in terms of pacing was when we actually got to meet the family themselves.
Yeah.
It was just rapid fire introduction and barely any time to get to know anyone. But the rest of the movie was pretty much fine for me. And
you think maybe this would have been better if they just gone with the book's original name, A Day in the Life of Wilbur Robinson, as opposed to Meet the Robinsons?
I guess, yes. It would have still felt a little rushed at that point, but I would have, appreciated it a bit more. But the ending is fantastic, and I know a lot of people will say that a good ending doesn't make up for the rocky road that it took to get there. But I don't think any of the rocky parts in this movie were actually bad enough for that to apply.
Agreed.
I thought the ending, just capped everything off perfectly. There wasn't any issue with it.
The movie has a great first act and a brilliant third act. It's the second act where the problems are.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, even with those issues, the second act doesn't feel as painful as I remembered it. I mean, if anything, this may sound weird, I had the most fun during the second act, if only because that's when the film feels like it's trying to be as wacky as it can be, which I feel is definitely played to its strengths.
I think the problem is that maybe the original movie was literally just the second act for about 90 minutes, and that probably would have gone... Yeah.
Yeah.
We may never know.
Go ahead, Shiri.
Yeah, again, the villain is great as well. I mean, it's like
he's
terrible at what he does, but not in an irritating way.
Oh,
the movie literally constantly makes fun of him for being like that.
I'll give him one credit though. Using the mind control dinosaur, that was his smartest idea. Oh, the issue was the small arms bit.
Well, to an extent, this movie can be considered to be, pretty much about him, really.
Yeah.
Even more so than a lot of other villains you see.
Mm-hmm. It's a really clever done way to make him kind of a dual protagonist in a way.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. And that's all I have to say, really. It's just a fun movie.
All right, then.
All
Since
right.
This is your first time viewing this?
Yeah, again, I'm not conflicted, but certainly that was what I was expecting. I came in not expecting anything in particular. And again, the trailer sold me to a completely different movie. Fuck, seriously, Hollywood for keep doing that. Because again, they don't know that with this, they seriously hinder their box office instead of attracting more people. Like, I don't get it. But whatever. The point being, I agree on the whole 3-act structure being varied in that sense. I would say that I was a bit more annoyed by the second act than anything, but it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Like, the lowest point is obviously the riot reveal, but that gets quickly, explained. And maybe the climax is a bit too rushed, but that kind of gives me the vibe that the climax was going to be completely different, and in the rewriting, they just simplified for the sake of it and the viewers. So
which was probably the better option as opposed to making things complicated.
I'm guessing that between the options, this would have been probably the better anyway. The only thing I'm slightly disappointing is that we don't see the changed future appearance of Goob.
Yeah.
We see him getting adopted and everything, but it would have been so cool to see maybe one last, photo snatch of seeing what he looks like in the new future, thanks to his better future built for him.
My headcanon is that he went on to be an all-star baseball player.
Well, most likely,
yeah.
But But yeah, otherwise, yeah, that especially that ending is so powerful in the long sense. Obviously, it makes the movie in itself more powerful, but it makes it even better when you see the context through the big thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a movie that actually benefits from his age and the time it was made. Unlike so many others, I would also say that I think another thing, the animation quality. It's incredible step up from Chicken Little, and that's a good thing. And it's not as bad as I was expecting. Again, from the trailers, I was expecting a CGI similar Chicken Little, and I was scared about it because Chicken Little even looks like trash compared to now. So yeah, it's definitely better than I was expecting. It has maybe a few bumps on the ride, but it's still very viable, I guess. And I guess I don't blame people for turning out of this when it came out, because I myself was one of them. But I'd say that it deserved better marketing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the best thing to do is again suggest this from time to time.
The movie, fortunately, sorry.
And the movie has gained a cult following.
It has gained a cult following over the years.
This needs the cult following growing up more than any other obscure movies that I can think of right now.
Treasure Planet!
Black Cauldron, Great Mouse Detective. You can pick up.
Wait, I thought Great Mouse Detective was popular.
Well,
maybe Rescues Down Under. Maybe
when it came out, not really. It only became popular later in home video and over the years. When it first came out, it kind of... Remember, Jova, at the time Disney was competing against Golden Age Don Bluth.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of hard competing against
talk
that.
About that. Yeah. How ironic. One of their former employees group... Well, then again, it wouldn't be the last time, now would it?
Rage Against the creator. But anyway, yeah, I'm done. A very pleasant experience overall.
Not just that, like, when I first finished this movie in the theater, like, that final text, that final quote from Walt Disney, that just felt
that was
like...
the best apologies we could have done.
That's when I realized, okay, this is probably a sign of great stuff to come. And lo and behold... 11 years later, I was right, because when I first saw this movie in theaters, I was like, okay, this has restored my faith in the studio. Like they're getting their shit together. That's what I can definitely get from this ending.
And I can definitely get why this may not have been the best film, because first steps are always going to be the shakiest. So, in a sense, it makes sense that this isn't as powerful as other movies to come, like Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Winnie the Pooh.
That final Walt Disney quote just screams, "Trust us, we're getting our shit together. There's better stuff to come." And lo and behold, it was, because Disney, as of the time of this recording, is in its third golden age. And as of yet, it's their longest golden age because it's still going.
Heck, they're back to the golden age where they're having TV shows based off of their movies. We hadn't had that in a while.
And sequels.
Mm-hmm.
That too.
Well, all right.
Well, sequels that are good, thank God.
We'll see what awaits.
So, everybody, that was Meet the Robinsons. And by the way, if you haven't seen Winnie the Pooh 2011, go see it. It's made by the same people. It's made by the same people, and it's brilliant. And Big Hero 6 as well, obviously.
Is now a good time to mention that I have not seen Winnie the Pooh 2011?
Oh, that just answers Joe with the fact that it's probably going to be our next pick for someone.
Probably.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but Winnie the Pooh 2011 is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It's only an hour long as well.
I definitely agree with you. Definitely needed to see Big Hero 6.
It's trust me, Jova. Winnie the Pooh 2011 is only an hour long, but it's one of the best hours you'll spend at a movie.
All right, then.
We'll see you for whatever we do in the future, folks.
See ya.
Future.
See ya.